Every software project reaches a moment where someone has to decide how the system will be structured. That decision shapes everything that follows: how the team works, how the system scales, how easy it is to change. This video gives you a disciplined framework for making that choice and writing it down so the reasoning survives. Here is the recurring trap. A team starts a new project, someone says, we should use microservices, that's what Netflix does, and everyone agrees. But Netflix has thousands of engineers. You have 5. The architecture was chosen by trend, not by need. Months later, the system is hard to test, hard to deploy, and slower to change than a monolith would have been. The problem is not the technology. It is the absence of a decision process. Think of architectural choice like choosing a vehicle. A semi-truck is not a bad vehicle. It is the wrong vehicle if your job is a short city commute. Architecture works the same way. Every pattern is optimized for certain conditions. A certain scale, a certain team shape, a certain budget. The framework we are about to walk through is simply a disciplined way of reading your own conditions before you reach for the keys. The framework has 4 layers, and you work through them top to bottom. First, you identify your quality attributes, the measurable properties the system must have, such as high availability or low latency. Second, you surface your constraints, team size, budget, compliance rules, because these eliminate options before you have even looked at patterns. Third, you evaluate candidate architectures against those inputs. Fourth, and critically, you write an architectural decision record, an ADR, so the reasoning is preserved and revisitable. Walk through a real example. Your top quality attribute is maintainability. The codebase needs to grow cleanly. Your constraints include a small team and no budget for container orchestration. Microservices are eliminated immediately. They require operational infrastructure your team cannot sustain. You compare a layered monolith and a modular monolith. The modular monolith scores better because it keeps concerns separate without the deployment overhead. You record that reasoning in an ADR. The key consequence: the decision is now legible to anyone who joins the project later. The core trade-off in architectural choice is not between specific patterns, it is between choosing for fit versus choosing for aspiration. A fit-first choice keeps the system understandable and the team moving fast. The cost is that you might need to migrate if the system's needs change dramatically. A trend-first choice buys potential future scale at the price of immediate complexity, and that complexity often kills small teams before the scale ever arrives. The simplest architecture that genuinely meets your requirements is almost always the right starting point. Here is how to put this into practice. Before you open a browser to look at frameworks, write down your top 3 quality attributes and your hard constraints. Use those to filter out patterns you cannot afford operationally. Then compare the survivors honestly, favoring the simpler option when they are close. Write a 1-page architectural decision record. Describe the context, state the decision, list the consequences, and name the alternatives you rejected and why. Revisit it whenever a major requirement changes. Good architecture decisions are living documents, not monuments. 4 ideas to carry forward. First, your quality attributes, what the system must be good at, are the correct starting point, not whatever architecture is fashionable. Second, match the complexity of your chosen pattern to the complexity of your actual situation. Third, simpler is almost always better, until the evidence demands more. And fourth, write the decision down in an ADR so your future self and every teammate who joins later can understand why the system is shaped the way it is.